All right, here we go. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 49th episode of the IGC Podcast. We are very quickly approaching 50 episodes, and I don't know if we're going to do anything special, but what do you guys think we should do something special for the 50th episode?
Special like what?
I don't know. Maybe have a guest on or drink while we're podcasting. I don't know. What do people do for their 50th episode? It seems kind of like a milestone to me.
Yeah, I could get on board with the drinking and podcasting idea.
Anyway, maybe we'll do that. Well, anyway, we're gonna do this podcast first, and we'll talk about that one coming up in 2 weeks. Yeah, we're all sober. Unfortunately, I am staring at a large bottle of amaretto, but I will not be partaking until we are done with this. Welcome. Let's see who we've got here with us today. Well, you just heard the voice of Nadia, so you might as well say hello.
Hello, podcast crowd.
And AI Monster is, of course, back with us this week as well.
Yep, I'm here.
And Seifer did not oversleep his alarm this week. He is here and ready to talk about stuff, I think.
Indeedy.
So if this is your first time listening to the podcast, awesome to you, because this is the podcast for hopefully you're the adult gamer who likes to joke around and play hard and occasionally get wasted before or after the podcast, maybe even during. We curse, we get rowdy, have a good time doing it here at IGC, and we're glad to have you if you are listening to us on your mobile phone device tomorrow on Monday, or if you are watching this here on Twitch right now. That's awesome. We're glad to have you. We are going to be talking about what are we going to? We're going to talk a little bit about the video games in general, but specifically this episode we're going to cover some stuff rumored about the Nintendo NX. There are some dev kits out there now. We're going to talk about that. Talk a little bit about Nvidia Game Ready drivers, PS4 getting a price drop, some crazy shit that Konami's doing with microtransactions. We're going to talk about pre-order culture, because we can't have an episode without talking about pre-order culture. We're going to talk a little bit about Square Enix and what they're doing for Western releases, or not doing for that matter. And then we're going to end up with some funny stuff and some serious notes as well. So a big mix of things are going on, but before we get into all that crazy new stuff, what have you guys been playing this past week?
I think a couple of us ended up picking up the beginner's guide, if I'm correct, right?
Sure, yeah, I did.
So that was an interesting experience. It's for anybody who's not familiar, the beginner's guide is made by the same creator as the Stanley Parable. It is not a similar game. The Stanley Parable is a cute kind of exploration of all the challenges that game developers face in creating like branching kind of level design, whereas not a similar. The beginner's guide is a very linear path, and it's more of a guided experience. And it's only about 2 hours long, and I felt like at the end of that 2 hours, I really needed a Prozac. I don't know about you guys.
Oh man, it's one of those games that's really hard to talk about without playing it. But
not only that, but there's a lot you could say that would spoil it for other people.
Yeah, and I would hate to do that. I know that Jim Sterling's Podquisition, they had an entire episode dedicated to that a couple days before it came out, because they had all played it, and I didn't listen to that podcast because I was like, man, if people are gonna have like a whole show about this thing, and the only way to talk about it is to spoil the whole damn episode, like, man, I really want to play it, so I wouldn't play it for that reason. That, and you had recommended it to me, and I know I wasn't going to play it on last podcast, but I'm glad I did, because it really was like a thought-provoking, emotional sort of roller coaster, especially right at the end of the game when you sort of get like this big reveal about what happened, what this game was about really, and it was magnificent.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. The game starts off and you're just kind of exploring these kind of various game demos, and the narrator is describing kind of the thought process he thinks this person who created them went through, and as you go like forward more and more and more, you just it just ramps up. It's like a roller coaster ride that just goes faster and faster until it finally just slams into a wall at the end, and you're kind of just left sitting there going, wow, what did I just go through? And you think about it. And you keep thinking about it. And I woke up the next day, and I was even still, at work, like my mind kept going back to it, trying to analyze, the bits and pieces of it all. It definitely sticks with you for a $10 game. It provokes a lot of emotion, and I'm not typically a very empathetic person.
Well, I am. I am a therapist in
Right.
my career, so for me, like, I had these thoughts as I was playing through it about like, well, he's looking for this greater meaning in these games, and you know, whether or not it exists is whatever here or there. You'll experience that as you play the game personally. And I thought to myself, wow, like when it got to the end, like this is a really interesting like idea for he could have written a book about this, but the medium of the video game, the way that it describes how he's feeling and letting the user experience that along with him, and him narrating the story about what he thought about the levels as he went through, made an impact because it was better than just a spoken word, and it was better than just reading it on a page. It was like this interactive experience that it was hard to call it a game per se, because there's no tricks, there's no secret levels or hidden things or power ups or any of that stuff that we expect. But it was an experience is what it was, and it's hard to really classify this in any genre. It's not really a walking simulator, and yet it kind of is. But it goes beyond what things like Gone Home or the Stanley Parable brought to gaming in general.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, thoroughly enjoyed it. Very much worth the money.
Yeah, go pick it up. I was a skeptic. Last time I said I wasn't going to play this, but it was on sale for like $8, and I said okay, whatever. And I'm playing it. My wife is watching Netflix. For the 90 minutes I was playing it or so. And at the end, she's like, "What was it about?" And I was like, and I started kind of trying to describe it, and she's giving me this idea like, "Oh, that sounds interesting." And I was like, "You know what? You just need to play it. Just when I'm at work one day and you're here, just play it, and we can talk about it, because it is really like the kind of thing you can only talk about with people who have actually played the game itself." The audience and we haven't had our full-on conversation about this either, but I'm sure we will at some point.
I'm sure.
So other than Beginner's Guide, what else have we been playing? And I know it's a hard one to recover from, but there was a lot of good stuff that's out there, and that is coming out too. So what are you guys looking forward to? What have you been playing?
I've also been kind of dipping back into an early access game called Space Engineers on Steam, which is exactly what it sounds like. You're an engineer in space and building, and it's been in early access a long time, probably a year, if not more. They've done a lot of work on it, a year, but even still, it's just like they do a Thursday patch cycle, and every Thursday it seems like it's one step forward and two steps back. They add features, fix bugs, but it only just creates more bugs, and it's starting to become a bit of a trying experience. I love the game. I love what you can do in it, but it's like every Thursday, it's like, what have I built this week that's not going to work now?
Yeah, I think that's kind of testament to the early access model in general. Like, you never know what's going to happen with that next patch. All that your progress is going to be gone. And I mean, they're pretty transparent about it, but it still kind of sucks to play a game where you're not really unsure of what its future is when you see these changes constantly happening.
Especially when it's a collaborative kind of multiplayer game. When you've got a couple people like we do playing on the server, and now you basically come down and say, "Hey, looks like we're not playing for the next week because now none of the mining drills work properly, and you get stuck inside asteroids, and we can't get materials." So you pretty much shut down for a week until they find a fix for it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, good game. Just early access. You take the good with the bad.
Yeah, you've been playing that for a long time. And it's been in early access for, what, like a year?
A long time, yeah, at least. Yeah. I think they kind of overextended themselves because they were the same guys who were doing like the Medieval Engineers game too, which came out after, Space Engineers, and it's in early access. So they've got multiple balls in the air that are all in early access.
Well, that's never a good thing. Too many projects at once. Speaking of a developer that has too many projects going at once, I actually did pick up Minecraft Story Mode on Tuesday and got to play through it last night. And it's just the first episode, like every other Telltale game. I think this one is going to have 6 episodes as well. And you know what? People are asking me when they saw me on Steam, like, what was the game like? And it's kind of what we suspected and what we talked about last time. Like, what's going to make this game a Minecraft game? And there are Minecraft elements in it. There's the fear of the nighttime. If you're a Minecraft player, you understand that creepers, zombies, most of the monsters come out at nighttime, and there's a fear of that. That's present in the game. Obviously, it has the Minecraft aesthetic. It's in that 8-bit pixelated kind of art style. the events that you go through in the game are related to building different things. There is a crafting table you can craft stuff with, but for the most part, like the story itself kind of feels like you could have put it in any universe. And I think that was our argument last time. I think Nautilus had said that. That's what it is. Like it's a good Telltale game, and yet I'm like, you could have taken this storyline and plopped it anywhere else. Like it's kind of a D&D storyline. You could write a campaign after it. That's the kind of feeling that I got about it. But it is good. It's good and it's cutesy and it's funny and it's got the Telltale charm to it and decision making and quick sequences and stuff like that. If you like Telltale games, you're gonna like this one. There's nothing really much else I could say about it. Did anyone else play this one?
No, I'm probably gonna wait till all the episodes are out and then grab it.
That's probably for the best. I think I just wanted something to like do with my free time this week, and I played other stuff, but I'm wondering, what AI and Tifa were playing too, because we haven't heard from them today.
I've been playing Dragon Quest Heroes mostly. I platinumed the Dungeon Travelers, so I'm done with that game. I'm really enjoying it. It's a pretty fun game. It's basically like a Dynasty Warriors style game, Muso game or whatever you call it. Where you just go around killing lots of monsters, but it has like added tower defense elements and things like that. And it's just really enjoyable. Yeah.
Well, that's cool.
I mean, it just looked like a lot of fun in the trailers, so I went and bought it, and I am not disappointed.
I would dare say those are the kind of games like I used to be into. Like I would have picked that up if I was still like, I don't know, maybe more into like JRPGs or that kind of style of gaming. Like, but lately it just hasn't really fit my time or my personality or what. I know they usually take many, many, many hours to play, and I think in a given year I only have time to play like maybe 1 or 2 sandbox games worth of time, and that's about it. But that's good. You had fun with it. What about you, Seifer? Seifer, who has been awoken from his powerful nap for this podcast.
Who may have
still banging out that Final Fantasy 14 full time. Getting everything set up for 3.1, building up our airships, making sure our food program, consumables, people have their stuff they need for raids.
That's
making
right.
money. It does take a lot of time, and I just really don't have time to be playing other stuff.
Seifer's in charge of the Neutral Impact Food Pantry.
We pointed out, the last few podcasts here that as the PhD in ancient Metal Gear history for this podcast, we're just still shocked that you have not played Kojima's masterpiece.
Yeah, what is that? What's up with you, Seifer? Are you seriously that obsessed with crafting like sweet fish in Final Fantasy 14 that you can't, finish the series?
Sweet fish, please, crafted sweet fish.
I need more.
No, I don't want to play it when I'm tired, and I fucking have to do 12 hours work and then whatever I need to do on this game, and then by the time I do that, I'm just tired. I don't want to play it when I'm tired.
So we need to figure out a way to replace your job with gaming, is what you're saying, so that you can actually play Metal Gear Solid 5.
Or you could just do crack.
That's
or
terrible.
Or I could just play it when I'm tired and rush through it and then be like, yeah. Skip cutscenes.
You don't need to rush through it. I mean, if you got an hour, play an hour's worth of Kojima's masterpiece, and then, you save the game and turn it off. Like,
it's not how I play, though.
I mean, I know what you're saying. I had to do that with The Witcher. I mean, I've put 112 hours into it, but that's since fucking May. Like, that is spread out over the course of like 5 months. And so I played it like that, like very, very chopped up, like had to look at the glossary and the character, stuff a lot in the bestiary to remember the oils, because I couldn't sort of remember through each play like session, like what people were weak to, or, what monsters were weak to, or who was what in the storyline.
Filthy casual.
Yeah, I mean, this Metal Gear, probably more than any others, lends itself better to that kind of, hour or two play style. I mean, most of the missions can be completed in about an hour. And of course, there's all the, freeform sandboxy stuff you can do, running around finding interesting things to Fulton.
Can I blame it on recent hatred for Konami?
If you want to.
Sure.
I'm boycotting the game. Yeah, that's what it is.
But you bought it, so you're not boycotting the game.
Ah, fuck, you're right.
You own the fucking game. You just haven't
He's
played
not
it yet.
spending money on microtransactions.
Well, now he hasn't played
No,
it.
I gotta buy my insurance because I'm scared. I don't want consequences to my actions online.
Oh man, we should just talk
Such
about
a
this
joke.
now,
We're
right?
just gonna segue straight into that. All right, let's do it.
Just talk about it, right? So apparently, Konami lets you not only buy another forward operating base, which would take about, from what I've heard, about 3 weeks of daily progression to actually purchase. They let you buy that with real money, and that's fine, whatever. That's an expediting the sort of process thing. But now, when you're offline, people can raid your base and take your shit. And now Konami is offering the ability for you to insure the things that are there, to the point where you can actually insure the personnel that are there. They'll pop out like a clone of your personnel if that guy gets Fultoned or taken or stolen from your base. This is crazy, right?
There's no point anymore.
Yeah. So, and shortly after the last podcast, they brought forth what the Metal Gear Online component to Metal Gear Solid 5, and yeah, the FOB rating is a huge part of that, and this FOB insurance basically covers pretty much everything on your platform not being used in like an active defense situation. So basically, you're pretty much fully covered if you buy this insurance, which has you have to keep buying. It's only for a limited time.
They're defeating the whole purpose of a forward operating base. It was a whole risk-reward type deal, and now there's no risk anymore. It's just reward,
right?
Paid reward.
Now you can like help your fear out, reduce your fear of having if another forward operating base by insuring it to make sure that if you lose your stuff, the risk isn't as risky, essentially.
Well, I'm going to play a bit of devil's advocate here. So, like I said,
are you?
The insurance doesn't cover stuff that you use when you are like actively defending your forward base. So if you're online playing and defending and you lose stuff, it's gone basically. Any troops you commit to the defense and items you call in, those can be stolen, and the insurance doesn't cover that. It's basically offline protection. So when you're not defending and you go on vacation for a couple days and you're really into Metal Gear, it might be worth your while to purchase this insurance. I don't know.
That's just a bad
too much
system.
Of like the immunity crap you can buy in like the the mobile games like Clash of Clans and those things.
These guys are Zynga now.
Hey,
you
know
can
what?
defend your own owned bases when you're offline. It doesn't take you off the grid or some shit. I mean, that's just a poor design.
I mean,
They're just setting it up for a microtransaction.
Konami's making big boss pachinko machines. Would you really put it past them to think of putting out something that's similar to like Clash of Clans into their fucking game? I mean, come on. This isn't like too crazy to think of Konami being like, that's a good idea. We should do that. People will pay for that because they're dumb.
They do, and the guys.
This is calculated malice. They just have a checklist in their boardroom meetings. All right, what else can we do to be scumbags? We did this. We did that. This is next.
Yeah, they're doing a great fucking job this year. This has been. I remember at the beginning of the year when we were like, oh, well, let's see what Ubisoft does this year, what Capcom's gonna do. Like Konami kind of came out of like left field with like, you have become the most talked about in a negative way developer publisher like of 2015. Like this started early in the year, but man, they really have taken the cake and everything about it like to town now.
Now the race isn't won yet. The Ubisoft games are coming out soon.
But they beat out Ubisoft. How's that even possible?
Well, we haven't seen Ubisoft's whole hand yet. Keep that in mind.
There is time still.
There's plenty of time. It's like when there's 1 minute left in a hockey game and you're down by 2 and you're the losing team. You're like, there's plenty of time. There's plenty of time to score 2, man. Tie it up. Believe me, there's plenty of time. I mean, we're going into the fall. All these big releases are coming up. There's a shit ton of them on the list we're going to talk about today. Like, there's plenty of time for Ubisoft to come in and steamroll their whole fucking operation this year.
I just can't imagine them being worse than Konami at this point this year.
I mean, what else do they have down the pipeline that might redeem The Division? That's them, right?
They have Rainbow Six coming out.
Which one?
Rainbow
There's like
Six,
a million of them.
another Assassin's Creed, The Division someday maybe.
They announced DLC for a game that didn't have a release, like wasn't releasing yet. I mean,
they have 3 different Tom Clancy games coming out.
And we were talking about before the pocket, which is also on here, but we'll talk about it now. They're not releasing the next Assassin's Creed Syndicate on Steam.
No,
They're
is
just
there
not.
now.
It's
like
there
it
now?
just went up today or something. But it's still not even appearing in the upcoming games list for some odd
You'd
reason.
have to be a fucking idiot to buy a Ubisoft game on PC. I'll just say that right now.
You know what? You're probably right. I hate to say that.
I have to agree with you. You're just asking for punishment.
But you could also get a refund if you don't like it. So maybe there's, in 2 hours, if you haven't figured out if you like the game or not, you can go and, return it on Steam.
How does that
like
work
if it doesn't
with,
work?
Uplay and shit?
I've actually returned a Uplay game. They just, I guess they communicate somehow and it removes it from your Uplay account.
I guess they have no choice.
I'm sure there's a streamlined system that they negotiated before all this went into place.
No, I had picked up one of the Anno games and installed it, and it was just like a DRM nightmare. There were like 5 or 6 separate layers of DRM you had to go through, like between serial keys and registering an account and then activating that account and then using a serial key on that account. And I was just like, this is insane.
That's the game. That's the whole point of the game. To get past the DRM boss.
Yeah.
I had to go through I was doing like 10 minutes of DRM crap, after the game was installed.
Yeah, it's really stupid buying an Ubisoft game on Steam because all it does is launch Uplay. I don't understand it at all, but I think it's Ubisoft's confessional, well, our platform's not as popular as Steam, so we're not going to put our own shit on sale. That's crazy. So we'll let Steam do that, and we'll just distribute it through our own shit. It doesn't make any sense. It's DRM for DRM, who even knows?
It doesn't even work.
Well, when you said Space Engineers earlier, I thought to myself, I actually played a game that had an early access phase as well. I know I mentioned months back that I was interested in playing Massive Chalice, and I actually got around to putting about, I'd say maybe 2.5 hours into one game play of it. I didn't get to play through the whole thing, but I would say the game is even on normal, it's really fucking hard. When you're first playing it, they don't really describe what you need to do. Did any of you guys in here play Massive Chalice at all, or are aware of what kind of game it is?
I'm aware of what kind of game it is.
Okay, because I feel like it is a tactical game on one hand, and then also this weird research-oriented RTS on the other hand. It is definitely a unique game in and of itself, and they're transparent about that in the game. They tell you this is a game that has unique rules and stuff like that, but it's hard. It is a difficult game, and maybe it's because I've only played it for a couple of hours. I haven't really fully grasped the system yet, but you're in a constant battle of doing these battles from this enemy approaching the rim of your territory called the Cadence, and you have to deploy units to go and fight them, and your units level up and stuff, just like any old tactical style game. It's got an isometric view and a fog of war and all that shit. But then you also, the same pool of characters that you deploy to go fight these battles and level up, you also then have to appoint them to regents in new fortresses that you're building to keep bloodlines going. And so you're in this battle of really your worst resources, the group of players you have, the characters you have, and balancing things like fertility traits and passing on things to the next generation, and keeping bloodlines going so that you have troops to train next in 20, 30 years. And it is really, really hard fucking game, and I want to go back and play it, and yet I feel like this is going to take me 50 hours to even get.
Oh, you know what? I forgot to mention what I also played, and I enjoyed it so thoroughly I darn near forgot to mention it. The Star Wars Battlefront beta.
Oh yeah, that happened a week ago, right?
Yeah, and I was just so thoroughly impressed with it. So yeah, it wasn't. I don't think it's all that great. First, the first thing that happened, I booted it up and got it running, and went to join the battle for Hoth. And the first thing it told me was, hey, you're new to the game. You haven't unlocked any levels yet. You should go do some of the other stuff before you do this map to unlock some stuff so you can do this map. And, we're sort of not a good experience right out the gate. This has never been something you had to do in a Battlefront game before. The whole point of Star Wars Battlefront is it's class-based. You join an online, map. You pick your class, you get your kit, and off you go. You're fighting. Now they're telling you need to unlock crap. So, anyway, yeah, so I played the mission. It seems dumbed down. It's Battlefront was already a pretty simple shooter / vehicle shooter. But even like you used to be able to control like the AT-ATs, you know, if you're playing on the Empire side on Hoth. Now you don't. Now they just kind of walk on their own. If you get to jump into the AT-AT, you just kind of take control of a turret on it. And you know, the weapons all the weapons are very, very similar. They don't really have any defining characteristics. They have unlimited ammo. They just overheat if you fire them for too long. So that really lends to a more open, you know, battlefield where people are just hiding at the outskirts and, you know, just spamming fire and trying to kill somebody. But it's not play well. This is not the Battlefront I wanted.
I was watching videos of it, and it seems like they spawn you right next to people, and you die right away after you spawn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of a bad thing to have in FPS.
That's not fun at all.
No, I mean, you got, you know, people just basically spamming fire from, you know, hundreds of meters away, just hoping to kill you. Because, hey, why not? You've got unlimited ammo, you might as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think generally the people that I follow on the internet that play a lot of games that have tried this one generally think it's going in a positive direction. You know, it is Battlefront, it is Star Wars, and yet maybe there's something that maybe because it's Star Wars, people think it's better than it really is.
But that's the thing. If you rip off that Star Wars veneer and put in, you know, anything else there, it's still a crappy game.
I see.
Well, they did get the aesthetic right, at least. I mean, it looks very
it
Star
looks
Wars.
good, and I will say it runs very well on my system. I have a very high-end system, but it ran fine for me. I didn't have any crashes or, you know, weird, you know, video lag issues or anything. So yeah, it ran well. It's just not the Star Wars Battlefront I wanted. I don't like their system of, you know, their character system. I like the class system of the old Battlefronts. I don't like just spawning as a random guy and having to go around and pick up, you know, power up, you know, they call them cards, basically, that allow you to do things like jetpack or throw a grenade. And, it's just not what I wanted.
It's hard to get it right with Star Wars, you know? I mean, we always play the hero, right? And now we're sort of playing like, well, more like a grunt kind of thing.
Yeah, basically.
You know, and maybe that also isn't enough for people. But I mean, how else is DICE going to do it? You know, I mean, we're talking about Star Wars, we're talking about Battlefield, we're putting it together. It's not that surprising that it kind of doesn't feel completely Star Wars either. You know what I mean? It's a new coat of paint, right? It's a paint job, is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the problem with an online Star Wars game since like what, Star Wars Galaxies.
Since forever.
Not everyone can be a Jedi to make it work.
And yet, everyone could be a Jedi at some point or another. I mean,
And yet,
all public same way.
The old
The
Star Wars
Star Wars
Battlefront
Galaxy?
games worked fine. So anyway, yeah, not terribly pleased.
All right. I mean, yeah. I think, like I said, it's generally been reviewed positively, but I wouldn't say overwhelmingly positive.
I think
it's hard to get
pretty
that.
mixed. You know, a lot of people are kind of in my camp, and then there's other people who are, you know, enamored of the game. I guess it's a bit polarizing in that respect.
Anything else we've been playing, guys? No, huh? Okay. Well, there was one other game that I was playing today or before the podcast even. I've put about 5 hours into the Heart of Stone expansion for Witcher 3. I've got to say the storyline is very compelling thus far. I didn't jump into it right away because when I opened up my map to Velen and Novigrad, there were 30 new undiscovered locations on it after picking up some message board stuff. So me being the completionist, I was like, I need to go and make sure none of these are question marks anymore. But it was mostly the same old stuff, guarded treasures and hidden treasures if you played Witcher. Nothing that crazy. But it helps to go around the map, you know, to unlock the new fast travel points for the places you're going to be sent to. There's a couple new monster types. So far I ran into some spiders. There's a few other ones that I won't mention because of storyline reasons. But there are many new monsters to fight. There is a new set of armor that you can get, level 38, which is cool. We have to craft it and do a quest to get him, but you can get that eventually. And there's a new thing called rune crafting in the game as well that actually permanently infuses your armor with statistics, not like the glyphs you get in the game, but are like things you etched on the weapons permanently. And if you destroy the weapon, you get the runes back. It costs a lot of money to put in. It's sort of a quest line where you got to pay this guy to get tools to build him up. But that's been fun and interesting. You know, at this point, it's sort of the end of the game, right? You're thinking, how much more powerful can Geralt get? Well, he can get more powerful, and so they put in a way for you to do that, which is maybe too late, whatever. But it's cool, and the gameplay has been good, and the quests have been good so far, and looking at finishing it up. Probably got another 5 or 6 hours to play in it. It's a lot of fun. Oh, there's new Gwent cards. Of course, there's new Gwent cards.
Oh, thank goodness.
Because we can't have an expansion without new Gwent cards, right? But yeah,
that was one system in the game I just completely ignored, basically.
I hated it at first, and then I kind of grew to like it, I guess, and I enjoy Gwent now. For what it's worth, I actually ended up getting the season pass for the game so that I could be eligible to actually get the physical Gwent cards for the Scoia'tael and the Beastman deck. So those are coming in the mail sometime early November. Super, super stoked. I know. Sorry, I'm a nerd. Is that okay?
I think that's acceptable.
Okay. Anyway, let's move on to news. We've been at it for half an hour. This has been really good, though. I think one of the bigger pieces of news that we have to talk about, we'll start off with, there are now Nintendo NX dev kits in the wild. Some developers have actually gotten their hands on them. And there was an article over at IGN that gave a little bit of some minor details about the console itself based on the people who received it. It's going to have industry-leading chips in it, whatever that means. And it is indeed going to be sort of a docking station at home and a mobile unit that you can take on the go, which
No way!
kind of what people thought it was going to be anyway.
No way. It can't be.
No, that's what it's going to be.
Surprise.
So let's talk about this. What did you guys think? Is this good for Nintendo? Is it bad for Nintendo?
If by industry-leading chips, they mean they're going with like an x86, or x4 architecture by AMD or Intel, and maybe video chipsets by Nvidia or AMD, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
Nintendo needs to get to some level of parity with the current consoles.
Yeah, and that's I think the idea is, according to this article, they're trying to ensure that they can compete with the PS4 and the Xbox One, and they're trying to bring third-party developers back into the fold within Nintendo on itself.
It
only took them 15 years.
Well, yeah, I mean, it remains to be seen whether or not you'll buy them on that specific console, but with Nintendo's strong first-party lineup, which, it's hard to argue they don't put out good first-party games that people enjoy. If there's also third-party stuff on that you like, this is a good play, right?
I like it a lot more. Just hearing some of this stuff. I'll have to wait and see what's actually real. But it sounds like they're trying to go in the right direction. Getting off that Wii drunk shit they've been on for 15 years.
Yeah, I'm curious about that mobile unit. Is that supposed to kind of replace like the 3DSs and stuff?
Well, Nintendo knows its market is handheld, so might as well make a console if they could convert to a handheld like a fucking Transformer.
They're making slots on it for amiibos.
Right. I mean, I don't think Nintendo's.
Thing.
Yeah, I don't see them giving up the handheld. They may very well release another 3DS version alongside this one. Nintendo's not shy about releasing a 3DS type console after one just came out. They did that recently. So it doesn't seem like they'd give it up, but there's been some. I mean, other than the rumors that have gone around in terms of like what would be smart for the company itself to make. There's been murmurings that things like Smash Brothers on both consoles and Mario Kart on both consoles, the Wii U and the handheld were sort of testing grounds for whether or not this would work out for them. Being able to like downgrade their game or offer perks across both platforms and things like that. And in a sense, bringing it to same platform seems to add up for Nintendo in a big way. I personally think this is a great move for them. The Nintendo is hopefully coming back into the norm by doing something like this, but also doing something still wholly Nintendo and unique in itself. By making something that you bring home, you put in a docking station to play on your TV, and then you take it on the train with you when you go to work.
So when are we expecting to see this thing in stores? The dev kits are just going out now. I can't believe it'd be, sooner than a year from now.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, AI, you were saying that, you were hearing rumors of late 2016, and I think that adds up. So maybe we'll hear something by E3 next year. I mean, June, it doesn't seem too early, right, to expect something that's like 8 months out. Maybe we'll see like a prototype.
The industry-leading chip. How long until we hear the VR version for Nintendo now? How long?
Well, I feel like
Nintendo's kind of against VR.
Yeah, I don't think that their
were.
platform has changed on that necessarily. But I think they recognize the limitation. I mean, even when Iwata was here, he recognized the limitation of what the Wii U could do, and saw third-party developers pulling out, and that makes you need to shift your what your game is at some point.
I think on the VR side of things, Nintendo can definitely kind of play the wait and see game, see how Sony's Morpheus does, and the the PC headsets. If they grow into something huge that people are going to want, then yeah, I can totally see them going down that road.
Right.
I don't think they're going to do that
They
well
can
at first.
even bring back the Virtual Boy.
No.
Yes, red eye cancer for everyone.
I
don't know. They stated before that they didn't like the whole VR concept because it wasn't an inclusive environment for party gaming.
Yeah, it wasn't personal. It wasn't like a personal experience that everyone in the room got to share.
Which is kind of funny because all the VR stuff now is a lot of the VR games are created to create kind of that experience where you have one person doing the VR and then 4 people sitting around playing against that person.
Yeah.
They just need to design hologram projections so everyone can see it. Get on it, Nintendo.
Yeah, and we've mentioned games like that before. I think last time we talked about Keep Talking, Nobody Explodes. That is on Steam now, available for people who have a headset and want to play it as well. So yeah, those are games that are up and coming, and Nintendo could absolutely do something like that. We could have a group. It's like playing charades, essentially, and VR can play charades pretty well. Okay, so we generally think this is pretty good. Let's move on to the next thing. So I guess Naughty's going to kind of take this one over, but apparently Nvidia is trying to make game-ready drivers available only through the GeForce Experience app. So what does this mean for us consumers out there who maybe don't know what this is about?
So what's going on is basically every time there's like a major like AAA release title like The Witcher or even like a Call of Duty or whatever, they release a new game-ready driver. It includes all the driver optimizations and SLI profiles for that game, and those are almost always made available through Nvidia's website to download and install, and also for those running the GeForce Experience, they would be delivered through the GeForce Experience and installed. There's a bit of a paradigm shift here now, though. They're making it so those game-ready drivers will only be available through the GeForce Experience. You will not be able to go to NVIDIA's website and download that game-ready driver. They're still going to do, a quarterly WHQL driver release, but, so if your game comes out and you don't want to use the GeForce Experience, you'll have to wait for the quarterly release. And for those who are going to use the GeForce Experience, it's also now going to require an account that you have to log into and maintain. Very similar to how Razer's Synapse program works and how it delivers its drivers. All in all, this is being viewed very negatively.
Yeah, the user account thing is a bit stupid.
Yeah, one can pretty much infer that the only reason for the account is for accounting, tracking the user's usage statistics of their games and then their computer in general.
Sure, and they could do that now with GeForce Experience, in some way if they wanted to.
Right, but you don't have to use the GeForce Experience now.
Yeah.
Now you do.
Yeah, and I have issue only with GeForce Experience in that it does things in the background. Services that I've had to disable, like the Shield streaming service, for example, that I don't need on my PC at all, and then actually have caused known conflicts with games such as The Witcher 3, for example. And the GeForce Experience, while nice, is just another thing that my computer needs to start up now with if I'm going to be using an Nvidia card. And it's not bad, but I wouldn't say I ever use it for optimization of any games, because there are just some tweaks that you want to make personally in the game and not always use the game-ready driver profile. I have rarely used that, actually, because I have an old 680. It's not old, but I have a 680, and sometimes I just want to be able to tweak things myself for performance issues.
Yeah, I've never trusted that optimization option. I just can't. I don't know what it is about it. I don't like it.
And there's other applications that do that as well. I have Raptor for desktop installed. It does the same thing. And that actually is a convenient application too, because it and has all my games on it just the same as GFE does, and doesn't cause known conflicts with my video games. And it lets me one-click optimize games if I so choose. The only reason I have GeForce Experience is for Shadowplay.
Yeah, that's the major redeeming factor for me, at least. I don't really use it for anything other than just the drivers and Shadowplay. Not for streaming, but just to capture gameplay. It's very good at that.
Yeah, I mean, even for when I have streamed, and I've tried several times with Shadowplay, and I always have issues with it. So, I mean, I always end up going back to OBS. I just don't see Shadowplay being viable.
Shadowplay's
the codec's not that great.
Well, I mean, it's so much more limited than things like OBS or XSplit because you can't use an overlay or add any kind of elements to your stream. It only takes direct input from games that you launch in full screen and attach to Shadowplay.
Its support for ancillary audio devices is non-existent.
Oh, it's terrible. Yeah, it's not a good streaming device at all. But it is good.
It's a more simplified one. If people getting into streaming, it's a lot easier to get into it.
I mean, I will say that it's right.
Options.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially like a one touch button. It's I'm streaming now kind of thing. Has a nice little indicator in the corner. But I'll tell you one thing that we use it for in our raid team, or did use it previously, is just for recording local stuff and then looking through and being like, oh, what decisions did I make in this particular aspect of a raid, where I can look at everybody really quick. Like I don't have to worry about going to Twitch, transferring over to YouTube, or viewing it on Twitch's service. I have a local file where I can look at my past gameplay, or really useful for making high quality video of stuff that you may be simultaneously streaming and then putting up on YouTube. It has its uses, but it's not a be all end all for anything.
I really like the record last 10 minutes of gameplay.
Yeah.
Because you don't have you don't have to always be recording, being like, oh shit, I wish I was recording that. You can always just hit that record button and it just records the last 10 to 20 minutes, whatever you set it to. I wonder what it's doing to my alternate hard drive, though.
Chewing it the fuck up.
It's constantly writing. Yeah, it's constantly writing like 6 gigabytes of data.
And you go back and delete it, and
it handles that itself. You basically specify the length of time, and it manages the file.
Just wear and tear on mechanical drives.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, it has its perks, and yet GeForce Experience is not this amazing application that everyone needs to have, and now we're being told we might have to have it if we're going to have an Nvidia card.
Yeah, if you're playing, cutting edge games or games as soon as they're released, games that require a good Nvidia driver, that you're gonna need it. There's no way around it, or you gotta wait for the quarterly release.
And that's gonna bug you because your cloud didn't sync with the whatever you're playing. Oh god, I hated Synapse.
Yeah, so there you go.
Synapse
Get your
was shitty.
Throwaway email address and ready to go.
Well, in good news, the PlayStation 4 is finally receiving a price drop here in North America. It's going from I guess $399 down to $349 and $429 in Canada.
Yay!
Yeah,
wonder if they're prepping for their 4K ready streaming PS4s that are going to come out.
I feel like this is also representative of what they said earlier about their PlayStation VR, it being at the cost of a gaming console, and them wanting to not make that price seem outrageous. 300 to 350 sounds like a viable thing for a console now, and none of these have pack-ins, but they also give you the opportunity to still sell a bundle for $399, right? So I mean, it makes sense. And hello, Papa J. Welcome to the podcast.
Papa J already missed the Nintendo stuff.
Well, yeah, shit happens. Man.
That's okay.
You gotta work late, respond to alarms, shutting the plant down.
Well, we're talking about the PlayStation price drop and what it might mean for gaming. Any of you guys have an opinion on this? How about the audience? Anyone in the audience have an opinion on this? We got people here today. This is nice.
It puts it into the tempting range for me. I will admit there's some, PS4 only titles I'd be interested in playing, but I don't know.
Bloodborne.
No.
Those JRPGs coming out. Persona 5.
But I mean, for my position, it's, like I said, there's a few games that I want to play on it, and for the most part, it's just going to sit there doing nothing while the Steam box that is out of my entertainment center does most of the gaming work.
Yeah. I mean, I look at gaming console purchases kind of like an insurance deductible to be able to actually get access to the games I want or might want. And I found as I gotten older that I just haven't really wanted to play any of those games, or very, very few of them. Like the only game that interests me coming out for PlayStation is Uncharted 4. And that's not even coming out till when the fuck exactly?
Long time.
So it's like I could have just waited until this price dropped to buy a PS4, but I mean my wife plays it, so she's gotten mileage out of it. It's also our Netflix machine, which my PC is too because Chromecast.
Yep. No, I mean there's the Ratchet and Clank game coming out for it that looks really good. There's definitely Uncharted. There's and some other games, but yeah, just like I said, it's just gonna sit there most of the time doing nothing.
Collect dust.
Final Fantasy 15, I think, is exclusive with them for a while.
Yeah, but that'll hit PC eventually. I think Square Enix is making a push to, be more PC active. Oh, we had a major crash, so we are back. Sorry about the technical difficulties.
But you had a major crash.
That's right. I did. Fine. Everyone else was fine, but
it was an earthquake in our studio.
The guy recording the podcast, his computer decided to just freeze and say, you know what, you're doing way too much shit at the same time, so fuck you. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, Square Enix, they seem to be dedicated to putting stuff on PC, and that's great. What they don't seem to be so great about, this is a segue, is releasing all of their stuff here in the West. And I think AI wanted to talk about what Square Enix's plan actually is going forward to get games here in the West.
So, of course, like all the big companies, they want to get some of that crowdfunding money, probably Kickstarter or something.
Mm-hmm.
So they decided that, hey, we haven't released a lot of these games because, maybe they were too risky or whatever. They didn't think they would make money off of them. Dragon Quest. But, yeah, so they're looking at crowdfunding as maybe a way they could possibly get these games released in Japan. Outside Japan, I mean.
No, that's pretty bullshit. No, fuck that. I don't like any major company doing a crowdfunding campaign. It defeats the whole fucking purpose.
I agree. These are multi-million-dollar companies, and this is how you run a business. Sometimes you got to take risk, and if you don't have faith in your consumer base, why should they have faith back in you?
Well,
that's just my opinion.
Yeah, but what harm does it do? I mean, so they're not able to accurately tell which of their games are going to do well with a Western release. So why not go ahead and do a crowdfunding to see if there's at least interest in it? It's very similar to what Star Citizen did initially. Star Citizen wasn't going to be a crowdfunded game. The initial crowdfunding was to show investors that there was interest in making that game. It just really scaled up from there.
I don't like the idea of Square Enix doing it, but if it's going to open up more of these smaller studios to bringing over some of their games from Japan, taking that risk through crowdfunding, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with more games coming here to the West.
I think
is this just the evolved step from pre-ordering from companies now? You have to pre-order something?
I mean, maybe it's that, and I think that these big publishers see what the indie crowd is doing, and maybe they're not jealous per se, but they see it as like, how much money have we been leaving on the table this whole time? Like, how do we get a piece of this pie? If people really want this, we can make them pay for it now, right? And see if they're interested in it. If nothing else, it's kind of like, like what they did with Shenmue, or what Naughty's is saying, these small developers putting out a crowdsourced project to see if there's any interest, and then they have backers sort of waiting in the wings to see if they're going to, push the project into, fruition. I don't think it's a bad idea, and I think that, but I think also that business needs to have risk involved in it. But Square Enix, I think, is still recovering from making big, stupid risks years ago with, Final Fantasy 14 and maybe some other titles that they haven't really recovered yet. And maybe they're just saying, if you guys want it, show us you want it, and then we'll make it.
Right. And I mean, I expect what they're going to do is, calculate their cost to, localize that game to the market they want to release it in. And then that is your basic crowdfunding goal. Like, it's going to cost us this much. If you guys want it, pre-order it, basically, is what you're doing. You're just saying, I'll pre-order that if you do it.
I mean, how much does a game cost to localize? I mean, the bulk of the production and revenue that goes into a game is the actual making the game itself, right? And
it's translating dialogue and voice acting, basically, I think.
Yeah, it depends if one you're using English voice actors,
Okay,
or
yeah.
if you're just using just English text. You do need to go back and change some of the graphics if it has Japanese text in it, depending on
Right.
how far you want to go.
If you've got billboards, then you got to redo textures and whatnot.
And then there's a first step with the localization. Well, you have to redo UI elements as well, but there's the first step with the localization, and sometimes some things maybe something's somebody's familiar with something from like Japanese history or Japanese mythology, and that doesn't really translate well to the Western audience, so they have to go through and change it so that it kind of translates well to the Western audience.
Yeah, I agree.
And things like that.
Historical elements, pop culture elements that we wouldn't necessarily understand.
And they have to rewrite the entire script, and because some things you'll hear it in Japanese and they'll just be completely different on the script because it wouldn't really make sense to a Western audience.
I mean, in terms of
from theirs.
No, go ahead. Okay, well, in terms of like in-game billboards being in language and stuff like that, games get around that by creating like an in-game universe language, where they don't have to necessarily localize or translate things. But I know that's only one small part of the pie, when you're thinking about voice acting and, text and translation being accurate and the pop culture references. I get all that. So, I mean, yeah, the cost is there, but it's a fraction of what developing a whole new game would actually be.
Real quick on that note, though, and then I'll let Seafer jump in. You got like anime's a pretty big thing here that a lot of Americans are kind of getting into, I guess, or at least a subset of American culture is getting into. You got guys that can turn around from a Japanese release and they can translate the whole, obviously not the voice acting, but they can translate the whole goddamn thing, put in subtitles, re-encode the billboards and all that other signage in a matter of a day or two. And these aren't big multi-million-dollar companies. These are guys working out of their fucking bedroom because they're nerds,
and they do it for free.
So it shouldn't really take that much effort to do this, and so that's why I'm not very particularly fond of this ordeal here. But again, I'm just a bitter old bastard now. So
yeah, but Square's basically saying they don't want to front the cost to do that if nobody's going to buy the game. So ask people to put their money where their mouth is.
To make a better game.
Yeah, like a business standpoint, it's smart, but still, you're putting all the risk off of yourself as a company. I mean,
you can't really compare it to adding subs to an anime, because adding subs, you actually have programs now that'll do it for you, and it's not as much effort as say translating a video game and rewriting the script and everything. It's because a lot of that stuff
that's for
is
localization
not just text.
stuff. A lot of the stuff they don't have to change. It's just the Japanese culture has just been, I don't know, it just has a certain charm about it that people buy the game because of it.
I can see both sides of the argument.
Pop culture references, people wouldn't get, then they'd most likely change that.
I can see both sides of the argument. I think like AI saying it's because it's Square Enix that we look at them as like a mega corporation. They're in many regions now. They make a lot of different games, but also a lot of them don't get here. And we saw with the announcement of Shenmue that sometimes there are games that come out of the West or the East that we really want here, but the companies are not sure whether to take the risk. So maybe if this puts more games in people's hands that are enjoyable, I mean, more power to them, I guess.
I mean, Xenoblade, there was a whole petition thing for that.
Right, yeah, exactly.
And that's what I'm saying, take a poll or, take like a survey or something, send them a survey, gauge your interest like that, but don't force people to, like Seafer said, go to the next step of, the evolution of pre-ordering. Give me this money now and I promise you something down the road.
Well, a couple of months ago, Konami did a survey that they sent out to a lot of people, and I actually took it about what were your favorite style games that we made, what were some big titles that you liked, and there was multiple choice options for different genres, for different games, and it was pretty well done survey. But what will come of that, who knows? But if you put out something like a crowdfunded project on Kickstarter, people know Kickstarter, and there's a centralized place for that, and it will get popularity or at least mention out there on different news sites.
Gray, I hate to break this to you, but Konami did that so they could figure out what the fuck up next.
Maybe they were asking me questions about Gradius because I was like, I like side-scrolling shooter games.
I don't know, I guess if this somehow means there's going to be more Western Gundam games released, I might be for it.
Okay.
There has been 0 Gundam games released.
That makes you really sad.
Yes, over the course of 10, 15 years, it has made me very sad.
Well, the good thing about
Two missing
Gundam
giants,
games
not the
is
robot.
you could fucking play that without knowing Japanese.
There you go. You heard it from this guy right here.
Just import it.
All right. Well, you know, with
not
all
the
this talk
same.
of games being ported over, whatever, you know, because a crowdfunding source is kind of like a pre-order in and of itself. And there's this article. What site was this on? I'm just looking at it now. But apparently, pre-orders is on GamesBeat. Apparently, pre-orders are up 24% in 2015. So what happened? Because I thought people were like in the I hate pre-orders mentality now.
People often make bad decisions.
Okay, let's start with that.
No, honestly, one could probably attribute it to the fact, that Steam instituted a refund policy.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm sure that's going to account for some of it. Now, where all these games came from, that increase in 20%. Are we talking like console pre-orders, or just on, games that are delivered by an online, system like Steam? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Any
that
of the
is the only thing I could think of that the reason why that is. Just people are more comfortable pre-ordering now.
And I'm trying to
refund
recall
policies.
when Electronic Arts instituted the refund policy on Origin. I'm pretty sure it was like early this year.
I thought it was at least a year ago. I think it was middle to late of
It was
last
definitely
year.
after the SimCity, debacle.
And what SimCity was early 2014?
But I mean, if we're only talking about Steam and Origin, and we're just focusing on PC, I would imagine that a large portion of pre-orders happen at GameStop.
Why?
Because I feel like GameStop is doing a good job, in the sense, good job of marketing their employee drones to push pre-orders on people, and it works.
Well, speaking of
really fucking
Well,
works.
they are just stupid console gaming peasants. I mean, it's to be expected from a lower class of individual.
Oh, whoa.
Damn, hit him with the truth. Hit him with the truth.
Just so Twitch is aware, Papa Jane's opinions do not necessarily represent the majority of the IGC podcast crew.
Yes,
He's a Nintendo fanboy.
I've also had a couple thoughts tonight before coming back from work. So
Yeah, hitting it hard, man.
Did you guys read this article? So apparently it says Adobe Analytics found that sadness was the emotion most often associated with pre-orders.
I love it. So
That's a quotable line of the year.
oh my.
That's so good. This is an article on GamesBeat. Really,
Yeah, we didn't fully digest this one before the podcast, and we probably should have, but looking at it now, it's pretty funny.
Reading through it, it reminded me that we didn't actually talk about the pre-order, the augment your pre-order bullshit that Deus Ex Mankind Divided had running. Square Enix canceled that. I'm sure everyone's aware because it happened like 3 weeks ago, but it was just kind of funny that happened. They were like, "We heard you. Everyone's just gonna get all the stuff, and we're not releasing early anymore."
We don't know why everyone was upset.
We don't know why. We thought people wanted this. Like, no, that's what you wanted, not what we wanted. So I mean, even within pre-order culture, there's still some push back. I mean, at least they're not all drones. At least they're not all drones. They have a
Until it
voice
happens
somewhere.
again, and then another time, that's just going to become normal, and people aren't even going to report it anymore.
Well, you heard it here.
Games, people.
You read it on GamesBeat. Apparently, game pre-orders are up 24%, and revenue itself is actually up 33%. Does that mean people are putting more down than $5? They're putting like $20 down. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what that means.
Well, revenue and what?
No,
Just the gaming
revenue
industry in general?
Revenue in general.
Oh, well, that could be anything else.
It could be DLC.
It could be season passes. Yeah, I mean, because you
Could be
pre-order
season
that.
passes.
You pre-order that. I mean,
I think that is just solely from Amiibos.
we still got to talk about the season pass
33%.
topic at some point.
Yeah, probably not today.
Whoops, I did a bad thing. Anyway, Naughties, why don't you take us through what happened with EA?
Yeah, so EA has most assuredly suffered some kind of leak of account information. I guess a pastebin document was posted containing an unspecified quantity of account names and passwords and whatnot. Don't worry though. Apparently, it only affected people with account names from beginning with letters A through F. I'm not really sure, but EA's got your back. They're taking steps to protect your account. You don't need to do anything.
I'm safe.
Go change your password.
Why don't I trust that statement?
Go change your password.
Because EA made it.
And if for some crazy reason in this day and age you're still using like the same password across, and the same account name across multiple services, stop it. You get LastPass, create a unique password for each one of these services. That way, when this happens, you only have to go change that password.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that. I tend to like have like all my banking passwords one thing, and then like all my gaming passwords like another thing, and like my DRMs another thing. Like kind of think of things in groups of passwords rather than individual passwords. Because we live in a day and age now where every site has a fucking login for everything.
Yep.
And it's hard to keep track of all that stuff.
Don't protect any of them.
Yeah, they don't. And now they're all saved in Chrome. If somebody hacks fucking Google goes into my Chrome browser, that has all my fucking, my Chrome account has all my fucking passwords.
Yeah, I use like a Chrome or a
add an
Firefox
exclamation mark
password for everything. If I'm gets hacked, I'm fucked. My life's gone.
So yeah, just get LastPass, set it up with like 2-factor authentication with the Google Authenticator, and you can store all your passwords in there. It'll generate the unique passwords for you. There's no excuse anymore to be using the same account names and passwords everywhere. Don't do it. It's bad. They're not protecting your crap. They don't care.
They really don't. They just want your money, really.
Mm-hmm.
Security is secondary.
They want your money and your data.
And believe me, you don't want your account compromised on these services because having to go through the customer services to get it restored, I've never heard anybody say, well, that was a smooth and easy process.
Yeah, no one, because no one will ever say that.
No one ever said.
Shit, my Time Warner account got locked today because I couldn't remember the fucking passwords and shit. Because I got so goddamn many of them, So I was trying to watch football at work because, 9 hours of, little 5-on-1 on double time was fantastic. Locked out my Time Warner account. Haven't bothered to try to get it back yet. Probably won't bother to try because I don't really give a shit.
Yeah, I'm sure the experience is the same with EA and everywhere else. So we got 2 more things to talk about. May, why don't you take us through this hilarious VG247 article? Because you brought it up and it was funny.
All right, so they were showing off at some press event, the Uncharted games. I guess they had banners of Uncharted 4 or something all around them because this video game journalist decided that they're going to write an article on the preview of the Uncharted game they saw. Unfortunately, they said it was Uncharted 4 and they were actually playing Uncharted 2. And apparently they are a fan of the series. They played through Uncharted 2 before, and they didn't realize they were still playing Uncharted 2.
I'm confused. When you boot up a game, it usually has like a title screen that tells you the title of the game. How did he miss that one?
Well, they probably didn't boot up the game. They probably were just playing it from a point in time, the preview. But, still, they should be able to recognize, it was a big train scene, apparently. One of the biggest in Uncharted 2. One of the most memorable, I should say. And just completely over his head. Just thought he was playing Uncharted 4.
How dispassionate and disconnected are you from your actual job, from gaming, that you do something like this? You need to find something else to do.
That's what I was going to say. I'm kind of glad I'm not in video game journalism because clearly, this person obviously is a fan of the series, but he's not enjoying the game. It's not if he can't, remember the experiences that he supposedly enjoyed from playing this game. And Uncharted 2 came out years and years ago. The Witcher 2 didn't come out too long ago, but I could be pretty sure if I'm playing The Witcher 3 versus The Witcher 2.
Wait, we have to quote this quote here in the article. He was complaining that the game felt too familiar. I wonder why.
I can't imagine why.
Graphics don't make the game, and even if Uncharted 4 is the most beautiful thing ever to have happened in the history of video games, it's not. It's not new. This is a complaint that has been leveled a lot this generation, I think. that games are just shinier rather than more interesting. And Uncharted may be in for the same critique. Where
So
the
this was
first
actually
Uncharted
published.
games felt like they were blowing the bar sky high, this one just felt like more of the same.
Because it was the same.
So he didn't even recognize the graphical difference.
No. I mean, he was playing the
my God.
remastered version of this game because the remastered trilogy just came out not too long ago. But still, I mean, no,
how much
Yeah.
remaster
So at
can
least
you
they
do to a
apparently
thing, though?
published an apology about this because I guess they published this particularly scathing review.
I mean, this just further feeds that the whole stigma of journalists don't know what the fuck they're talking about and they're just disconnected from.
I think they
players.
do, but they've got to play so many games and they've got to, report on them. I think everything just kind of gets homogenized.
I mean, and not for nothing, but the Uncharted games, they did get a little better as they went along in terms of feel and gameplay. But they kind of all did look the same, and I don't think that Uncharted 4 is really gonna look or feel or play that much differently than the other ones. But to say you're a fan of the series and not
very
to be,
distinct scenery settings on each title.
I mean,
you
I
can
don't
right
disagree.
away recognize.
But still, why does it have to? I mean, why is that like a huge critique? I mean, everything has to be a new experience. Sometimes, just more of the same is nice,
Some people ask for the world, of games, and I think when you hear something like Uncharted 4 and the way it's been talked up, some people, and I'm not defending this guy, I'm just saying that first, not defending his idiot. He's an idiot. He's a complete idiot. But some people have this idea that the new next gen game that's going to come out in the series is going to blow you away or knock your socks off. It's not going to be the same. But you know what? The developer makes it very similar to the last one, almost the same, because they know that's why you like this series to begin with. You're still going to be climbing shit up. I mean, that's why so many games emulate other games. Look at Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider was just an Uncharted game at the end of the day. As much as I love the game, it was an Uncharted game. You climbed very similarly, you jumped very similarly. The controls were very similar because that's what I liked about those games, and that's what I'm going to like about this game. It's familiar. This is why people have an issue with Nintendo's control scheme and why third-party developers jumped ship, because it wasn't familiar. It wasn't the same as everything else.
Gimmicky.
Yeah, it's gimmicky. We like our games homogenized
If it
to a
ain't
certain
broke,
degree.
don't fix it, right?
Yeah, I mean, we like our games homogenized to a certain degree. It's just what we like. We like, predictability and consistency. We're human beings. It's what we enjoy. Seifer, above all, should know he hates change.
Hate change.
See?
Fucking Republican conservative.
Let's not go that far.
Yeah, come on. You got the fucking claws out today, Papa.
Papa's been having a lovely week, you can tell.
The console
Swinging-
peasants,
Swinging wild.
calling people Republicans now. It's
Golden
crazy.
Flow exam.
All right, so before
it's been a good week. It's really been a good week.
Well, yeah, it's not showing.
No.
All right, so before we get
I was
into the
sarcastic, you couldn't tell.
So before we get into the more list-like version of this podcast, I do want to mention, I think AI also wants to talk about this just briefly. Apparently Total Biscuit, his cancer has returned. He is somebody who I follow very closely on Twitter. I listen to Co-Optional Podcast every time it's up, every single week. I can count on it being there on Tuesdays in my podcast feeder. It is really, really a shame someone so young. I mean, he's my age. He's 31, 32. His cancer has returned. There is no cure. He tweeted out on Twitlonger just early this week that life expectancy is 2 to 3 years, but he's going to fight it. He's going to go back to chemo in a couple weeks, and hopefully sometime between now and then there'll be some more treatment for this. And just want to wish him well and make sure everything is I know he's surrounded by a lot of good people in his life, and I think he's gonna, do just fine and hopefully pull through from all this stuff.
Good for him for fighting and, wanting to live out life. Ain't worth just keeling over and dying.
Yeah, I mean, this dude has done a lot for, new age gaming journalism. Him and Jim Sterling and a lot of the people out there who really fight for the independent journalist who, are about full disclosure, about talking about video games in the, in the raw, in the real, who do have some controversial relationships with some publishers because they say what they want to say about a game and they're not, going to take $1 just to say anything. I have a lot of respect for him and the people that he surrounds himself with, and he's the kind of guy who I'd buy him a beer. If he wasn't living all the way down in the South, I'd buy him a beer.
Yeah, very level-headed guy. I always appreciate his commentary on things. He's always got a cool head about, outrage this, outrage that.
He's a huge Star Trek fan, which I like. All right, let's talk. Let's go through the announcements and debuts. Who's going to take us through that? I guess it's you, AI. We'll just talk about what we like as we go through this, huh?
All right, Pray for the Gods. This game looks amazing. It's an indie game inspired by Shadows of the Colossus. Got a trailer. So far I'm liking it a lot. Don't know if anyone else saw it.
I watched it. It certainly looks good. I think it's, kind of simplifying it, saying inspired by Shadows of the Colossus. It looks like a direct ripoff, but that's not a terrible thing.
I mean, we haven't had a game like Shadow of Colossus
Right.
since Shadow of Colossus.
It's an interesting gameplay mechanic. I loved Shadow of the Colossus so much that I bought the remastered version for my PS3.
Whoa, wait a second.
You have a PS3?
You own a PS3?
I have a PS3 , yes.
I never use it. To me.
Fucking revelation now. What's going on here?
Well, apparently you did use it.
Judas!
So what Papa said earlier about being a console peasant, you actually were you insulted by that?
No, not really.
Oh, okay.
Bro, I own a Wii U. You think I'm insulted by my commentary?
Yes.
Fuck no. I know I'm a fanboy.
Just declare the
I'm afraid
record.
to admit it.
The PS3 gets no use these days. Like I said, it was replaced by a Steam box a couple months back.
All right, fair enough. Let's
I
move
haven't
on.
played Mario Maker in 3 weeks. I was fucking gung ho about that game. I played in 3 weeks. He's been too goddamn busy working.
All right, let's move on. Apparently, have a lot of stuff to talk about.
All right, Monarch Black. This looked kind of interesting. Need to see more of this though. It's a flight exploration action game where you kind of play as a butterfly and you're trying to avoid rival insects.
You literally, this whole video is just a black monarch
It was
flying.
a terrible trailer.
It was terrible.
It was.
This action doesn't happen until 3/4 of the way through. And then you're like, oh, okay, that's what this game is.
Yeah, it looked kind of like a game like Flower or something.
That's what I thought at first. He's just kind of flying straight and level through these environments, and I was like, this doesn't look fun at all. But then it drops, as they say, and it actually kind of looks interesting.
Life's tough. It's a butterfly.
It is a tough life.
This game will show you.
Other butterflies.
This game will show you.
Everything's trying to eat you.
No, they're like shooting lasers and fireballs at you. It's weird. But if May puts a game on this list, it's probably going to be a little bit weird.
Yeah, it's true.
Haven't seen a normal one yet.
All right, what other weird games we got?
Yakuza 5, definitely a weird game. It's getting a Western release. I haven't played any of the Yakuza series, but might pick this one up if there's something else to play.
What
it's
are
kind
these
of like
games
a
like? Are they like
GTA?
That's what I was wondering. Are they
beat 'em
like
up.
GTA or Sleeping Dogs?
And there's very, very weird elements to it too. Very Japanese shit. Like you do karaoke and shit.
Could be interesting. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed Sleeping Dogs, so who knows?
All right.
Fury is coming out. Or Fury, I don't know what
I
this
think they're trying to bridge the furry and the fury together.
That's what it seems, yes.
There's no furriness in there.
What? There's
There's a
Oh.
rabbit.
The protagonist is like a rabbit.
An evil fucking looking rabbit, too.
Yeah, he's almost like Donnie Darko-ish.
Why
Yeah, it's
that stupid man
it's kind
suit?
of like an arena shooter. I don't know if that adequately describes it, but
Impossible to tell from the trailer because it's incredibly vague.
It is extremely vague. It has an interesting artistic style and graphical presentation, but you really don't know what's going on.
kind of like Donnie Darko.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, speaking of a game that we have no idea what's going on, Dreams got some more info, if you want to call it that. More vague info. That game that was shown at E3 a long time ago from Media Molecule. And we all kind of were scratching our heads saying, what the fuck is this? I'm still kind of scratching my head wondering what this game is going to play like.
guess we'll find out.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we'll hear more of that later.
I hate shitty trailers. Let me just say that right now.
This
This
one didn't
ones
even
that are
have a
just full
trailer.
of themselves.
And I had some static images that really don't tell you anything.
There's polar bears.
There's polar bears, yeah. That's all I know.
Coca-Cola.
Game's so
Bears.
good, we don't even have to reveal information for you to be excited.
We'll just show some
It's
polar
me
bears.
and
They'll be
Mbappe.
interested.
You mean like Star Citizen?
Oh!
Shots fired.
Man,
Inaccurate shots, they missed.
I don't know about that.
Negative. It impacted on the surface.
Well, Star Ocean fans have something to be excited about, I guess.
I watched this trailer. There was no gameplay at all in it.
Yeah, but you just go look at the old game, and the old Star Ocean 2 game, and that's what the gameplay is.
This is a remaster of a remake, right?
Yes, a remaster of a remake.
Must have been a good one.
Yeah, it came out on PSP, and now it's coming out on Vita.
We need
So
a
yeah,
term.
Star Ocean Second Evolution, the second game in the Star Ocean series.
We need like a collective term for like the remaster of the remake. You can call it like Capcomming or something like that. You know, something.
Shit plating.
remastering.
Something. Game painting. I don't know.
Remasturbating.
We'll think about it for a while.
You could you could call it
Cash grab, be done with
Nintendoing. Or this is coming from a Nintendo fanboy. You call it Nintendoing. They're very
I don't
good
know.
at recycling ideas.
I think Capcom is the king of that. You
What
know,
else we got?
Trias, I guess, is trying on that. We got Mordrum, City of the Damned. I think we talked about this before, but I'm not 100% sure. It's a turn-based SRPG, and I think it's based on Warhammer.
Are you talking S being like strategy?
Yeah, strategy RPG, sorry.
We have talked about this actually, yes.
It looks
I don't
pretty
remember
good.
when, but yeah.
Like, graphically, it looks kind of like Bloodborne. This is what it reminds me of, and then
I think Bloodborne looks better.
and the
than this.
gameplay looks like looks a bit like Valkyrie Chronicles. I'm just saying aesthetically.
Yeah, I mean it looks okay.
Mhm.
It's a Warhammer game, right? So we got to be careful about that.
They
Maybe
just
it'll be
give
the
that
first
license to
good
anybody.
Warhammer game.
We don't.
Possible.
Besides maybe the Blood Bowl game or whatever it is that
The
people seem to like.
Total Warhammer is shaping up pretty nicely. I've seen some gameplay videos of that, and I'm sure we'll talk about it more.
That's good to hear. All right, what else we got?
Firewatch. I think we talked about this one before too.
Yeah, this one's been circulating around for a while now. They started showing videos of it, I think like late last year was when the original one came out, and they had a good E3 showing. They have finally announced it will officially be out in February of 2016. This is a, how are we calling this? It's a genre we're seeing a lot more now. It's like a narrative adventure. It's not really like a survival game, but you're... the whole premise is you're a Forest Service fire watchman. Basically, you've got your own little watchtower, and you're out there to watch fires, and you communicate to the other watch people via radio. And apparently, shit goes down, and you've got to go out and adventure around. And it looks interesting. The art style is beautiful. It looks like there's a pretty compelling story in there. So I think a lot of people are looking forward to this one.
Yeah,
It's not a walking simulator, right?
No, they're going for like some suspense, mystery stuff too. You carry a walkie-talkie with you the whole game that is really the only person that you have to talk to in the game, and I'm guessing there's going to be some kind of big reveal about who that person is at some point in the game. They're trying to guide you through the wilderness here, and it looks cool. I mean, it looks like interesting. Like you said, it's like a walking narrative kind of game. Some survival elements.
I think we're calling these ones narrative adventures, I believe.
narrative adventures. All right, I like that.
Walking simulators.
All right, did you see Ubisoft did a huge, not a huge reveal, but a very weird reveal. I guess they had an image and they were slowly zooming out on it, and that image ended up being the announcement for Far Cry Primal, coming to the Xbox One, PS4 in February with the PC release in March. This is an interesting looking game.
It's interesting. that I'm curious if it's going to be like a major Far Cry series release or if this is like a small Blood Dragon kind of thing.
With the recent Far Cry games, the whole nature aspect and having to battle the elements and the wild animals is just as important part as the actual story with the humans that you interact with and kill in droves. But it seems in this one, they're going back to basics here, where you're not going to have guns anymore. Spears, crude type, bow and arrows.
I think we should mention you're fighting dinosaurs.
Well, the dinosaurs? I don't
there's
think
woolly
I saw
mammoths. There's tigers.
I'm sure there will be dinosaurs. There will be dinosaurs.
I don't know if they're going for period accuracy. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know that
This
Ubisoft.
is like 50,000 BC
Yeah,
Far Cry.
I'm not sure that Ubisoft's been one to go with period accuracy, though. I think that if they want to put a fucking dinosaur in it, they're going to put a fucking dinosaur in it.
Yeah, I think that they're really going for like the human tribal combat like aspect, like you versus other tribes.
So far, they just Sabertooths and Mammoths, which is kind of cool because I don't think really that setting has been done that much. Dinosaurs certainly have, but
And the game looks cool. Oh, whatever, it's a Far Cry game. We know what to expect from it. It's just going to be bows and arrows now.
Yeah, they better make it interesting because running around with bows and arrows and a flint knife doesn't sound very fun.
Sure, you've never been camping.
Not camping.
My 360 no scopes, bro.
All right, let's move on.
all right. Indivisible has launched their Indiegogo campaign. It's an action RPG from the creators of the Skullgirls. It has what they call Valkyrie profile combat. I've never played that game, so I don't really know. But it has a playable prototype. Reception's been really good for the prototype. I saw Jim Storman playing it earlier on YouTube.
I should play Skullgirls. That reminds me. At some point, it's been years.
You're gonna get angry again.
When do I not get angry playing a fucking fighting game against you? Let's be honest here. I don't want to, mislead the audience.
He gets angry playing Rocket League, too, so. You sure heard him trash talking on Friday.
I don't know. He didn't. I was in the channel with you guys, and he didn't seem that angry, even though he was losing.
Or before you got there, he was calling people up. That the slur word. He was calling people a faggot. That's what he was doing.
Even when he's in a good mood.
He was telling people to go fuck themselves. It was
You're
pretty,
not streaming
pretty
that, right? You're
bad.
gonna get some social justice warriors down on you.
We
It's not
were.
very PC, bro.
I think Daner might have been. I wasn't. Try not to stream Rocket League.
You might want to back that. At least look at the video if you're interested in that sort of thing. It's because it doesn't look like it's going to reach its goal, unfortunately. And it is unlike a lot of Indiegogo projects, it's a fixed funding campaign, which means it needs to hit the total goal or they get nothing.
They are asking for a lot of money for a side-scrolling platformer.
They should have put it on Kickstarter. I'm sure they would hit their goal in no time on Kickstarter. I don't think Indiegogo is nearly as popular as Kickstarter.
How much a side-scrolling platformer cost me? About cost of a Wii U and $60. Make my own.
As long as there's Mario in it, you can make it.
That is correct, sir.
All right, and last but not least, on announcements, what do we got? Oh, here it is.
Anyway, Xseed has announced Xanadu Next is coming to PC, Steam. Little King's Story. Again, these games have never been released on PC, not even in Japan, so it's kind of big news. And the most important one, of course, Senran Kagura Shinobi Versus. Not Estival Versus, unfortunately, but I'm sure
whatever that means, yeah. No one's really sure.
That's Shinobi, not Shinobi.
Hey, I'm just saying the Japanese name. They can't say the V's. Actually, they kind of can, but whatever. I'm not going to get into linguistics here.
Yeah, let's not.
They really call it Shinobi.
Yes.
All right, are we going to go over this MMO stuff, or are we going to jump into upcoming games? What's going on
I
here?
think we can touch on it real quick.
All right, go ahead. I'll leave it to you guys.
Cipher, okay, so Star Citizen did their Citizen Con, and I didn't actually get to watch a whole lot of it. I think Cipher did, though. But one of the major reveals is for the single-player experience of Star Citizen, which they're calling Squadron 42. One of the early stretch goals was, an all-star cast to do the voice acting and motion capture for the game. And everyone was kind of wondering, well, who will those stars be? Well, they announced it, and the list does not disappoint. You've got Gary Oldman, who people will recognize as Commissioner Gordon from the Batman Begins and Dark Knight series of movies. You've got Mark Hamill, who I think was in some couple movies that were pretty big. Does a lot of voice acting too. You got Gillian Anderson from X-Files fame, John Rhys Davies, who was Gimli in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and was also in Indiana Jones movies. Did a lot of the Wing Commander games too. Andy Serkis, who played Gollum in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, also does voice acting, and more. So there you go. There's your all-star list.
I think Mark Hamill, you have to forgive me because I'm eating. Mark Hamill's really known for doing the Joker voices in the Arkham Knight series.
And he was also Colonel Blow in the Wing Commander series.
Isn't he really known for Star Wars?
Well, yeah, Luke Skywalker.
Yes, he was Luke Skywalker.
Yes, we're well aware. But yes, he, in addition to his Star Wars movies, he is also a very accomplished voice actor and was a live-action, video actor in Wing Commander 3 and 4.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Yep.
That's cool to see a nice all-star cast like that doing the VAs. All right. ArenaNet, Guild Wars 2. What is this? Why?
They're starting
Comes out this
esports, apparently.
Guild Wars 2 is going to be an esport?
Yes.
News
They
to
all
fucking me.
Teamed up with ESO. They've been wanting to do this since release. They kept saying how they wanted to be an esports game, and I guess now they're finally doing it. Personally, I think the game's a bit too unbalanced in terms of PvP to be an esports game, but that's just me.
I presume they're focusing only on the structured PvP, not the world.
Yeah, the SPV stuff.
Well, I mean, I guess it
which
makes
is
most
fine.
sense.
I mean, it puts everybody on even setting. Everyone's got pretty much the same gear. Well, good luck there, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to say, honestly.
I didn't even know there's a lot of people who watch that, who would want to watch that sort of thing. I mean, I'm a Guild Wars 2 player. I'm a Guild Wars 2 fan, and I don't really want to watch people play SPV in Guild Wars 2. That's just me, I guess.
Maybe they're just testing the waters. I mean, who knows?
It could take off. I mean, there's a ton of people who watch the EVE tournaments, EVE Online tournaments, and they don't play EVE.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just gonna say if people may not like this because they wouldn't really understand what was going on, but if people are watching the EVE tournaments and truly have no idea what's going on in that,
Yeah, right. That's
Why
the
would
measuring stick.
People want to watch an EVE tournament.
It draws a lot of viewers. I mean, maybe not as much as the Dota tournaments, but people watch it.
yeah, you just gotta find
I
that
don't believe
magic.
you.
But
It has to
just
be fun and accessible.
nod and
to
smile.
people don't understand.
Okay, so
That's
that
about
wraps
it
up
for MMOs,
MMOs. Yeah. Okay, we've got a kind of a long list of upcoming games here. Let's try to get to them as quick as we can. May, get us going, I guess. See some JRPGs.
Tales of Zestiria JRPG is coming out PS3, PS4, PC, October 20th. I am looking forward to this one. Probably the only one here that is. So.
Yep.
I enjoy a good Tales game. I'm not gonna have time.
No, buy it. Do it.
I honestly probably
Guild
will,
Wars
but
2
there's a lot of shit going on.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this list here, I'm just going to say it out real quick. It's like everybody's trying to get their games out on October 20th. I mean, there's a lot of games coming out.
Between the 20th and the 23rd, I guess really in the next week, like everything on this list, which is about 18 games, is coming out in the next week.
Yeah, we're basically kicking off the holiday release cycle here. I think these are the guys trying to get in before Electronic Arts and Ubisoft and Activision throw their cards out.
Overlord, Fellowship of Evil is a co-op action RPG. It's coming out PS4, Xbox One, PC, and also October 20th.
Yeah, this is interesting. It's definitely a shift for the Overlord franchise. They're going to the action, co-op action RPG format, kind of like
Diablo, really.
Diablo, yeah, or Dungeon Siege, or Titan Quest.
Yep.
Looks interesting. I
Nothing
know
wrong
some
with that.
people who are kind of mad about this, though. I don't know. We'll see. Reasonably priced. I think it's only like $30, maybe even less. And I think it's even less. And there's 4-packs you can buy on Steam. So who knows?
All right, Sword Coast Legends. We talked about this a lot. It's a Neverwinter style dungeon maker where you can play as a GM and build your own campaigns and things like that. It's an RPG and it's coming out October 20th for PC. It's coming out at early access, finally.
No, it was never in early access. It's finally being released.
Yeah, I mean, how many times have we even mentioned this game on here? It's
Yeah.
coming out this Tuesday, and then
But they kind of did the right thing for the people who pre-ordered. They gave those people early access, and I guess as soon as those people started playing, they started finding a bunch of stuff wrong with the game that they needed to fix. Especially, with Steam's refund system in place now. If you're releasing a game on Steam now, it better work. What else do we got?
Rebel Galaxy. I think Naughtius wants to talk about this one.
Yeah, this one was kind of fun. It's kind of a very freeform sandbox-ish space adventure game where you command a starship that you can swap out for different starships and upgrade them, and very freeform. I mean, there's trading, piracy, and whatnot. I'm gonna snag this one. It's the price is right. I love space games, so
yeah, this is right up your alley. The trailer looks really cool.
Yep, and it's coming out PC October 20th, and it's PS4 and Xbox One releases are going to be later.
All right,
Pulse, an adventure game. I don't think I put this one on here.
no, I threw this one on there. It's an indie game coming out on PC, Mac, and Linux on October 20th. It's a adventure game with a kind of an interesting twist. I guess you play a young female who is blind, and so sound is kind of what generates a visual image in the game. So you've got to constantly be interacting with objects to create visualization for you to move through the levels. I don't know. I watched the trailer for it. It looks entertaining.
So it's kind of like a good version of Beyond Eyes.
Could be.
You remember that?
Yeah.
I was thinking
People
like
hate it.
Daredevil. Am I basically playing Daredevil in the form of
A little girl.
Like a tween girl, yeah.
Hey, it looks interesting.
Adventure Time: Finn and Jake Investigations is an action-adventure game. People love the Adventure Time series. It's coming out
Stoners
on
love the Adventure Time series.
It's coming out on everything,
everything except PC
and it's on 3DS.
Thank God.
and Vita. No Vita. No half-naked anime girls, so no Vita. Coming out October 20th. Guitar Hero Live is coming out. Who's excited for this one?
Yes, not to be outdone by... Yeah.
Because Rock Band just came out. and
Rock Band just came
got
out.
pretty
How
horrible
amazing.
reviews.
You
So.
get a Rock Band and a Guitar Hero at the same time.
Hey, it's gonna be on Wii
Whatever
U.
will I do?
Yes, it's coming out PS3, PS4, Wii U, Xbox 360, and Xbox One. This is actually one of the most crowded weeks for Wii U. It actually has games releasing.
It does.
It's coming out. Well, this game's coming out October 20th.
It's like a real
Don't
console.
be hating. Don't be hating.
Unfortunately, a game that will not be on the Wii U for whatever reason is Tales from Borderlands Episode 5. It's a Telltale game. I really need to even explain what that is at this point now.
Is there gonna be a 6 or is it a 5-episode thing?
I think it's 5. I believe it's 5, so I believe this is the end of it.
Tales from the Borderlands.
First series. Yep.
Let's
It's
see.
coming out.
Yeah, it looks like it's just 5.
Yeah, I believe only the Game of Thrones on is 6. It's coming out PC, iOS, PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, and Xbox One October 20th.
So everything but a Nintendo console, huh?
Yep, I guess I hate
Yep.
Nintendo.
Fuck those guys.
Code Realize, Guardian of Rebirth. Yes, terrible Japanese name.
I can only imagine it's a Japanese game.
Yes, and it's
for the three of you out there who own a Vita.
It is for the Vita, and it's an otome visual novel. So it's again maiden novel where it's one female being courted by a bunch of guys. But I mean, Amnesia got really good reviews actually, and I'm sure this one probably will too.
All right, the next one is a game that actually is interesting.
Fatal Frame, Made in a Blackwater. It's a game where you scare away ghosts or kill them. I don't remember with your camera. Yep. It's a horror game.
It is a long-running series that people really like.
Yeah, I remember that name.
Yeah, it's pretty popular.
Yeah, it's been around for quite a while.
PlayStation game.
A long time, yeah.
PS1.
Yeah. And then it was on like GameCube. Yeah, well. Cool.
The trailer is impressive. I'll give it that. The game looks spectacular, and looks like they, found a good use for the Wii U controller, using it as your camera, basically.
Yeah,
it's Pokemon Snap.
Really
Pokemon
good
Snap for ghosts.
Like they did a really good job on the graphics side because the Wii U is pretty underpowered.
Yeah, if Nintendo had made it, it'd probably sell a bunch of copies, but since it didn't, oh well.
Burn.
Yeah, it's coming out October 22nd. Are you picking that up, Papa?
I just finished watching the trailer literally as we started talking about it, and I think I might. When I'll get time to play it, I have no freaking idea, but I might actually add that one to the collection.
All right.
Remind me when I do to get Splatoon as well, because I still haven't fucking bought that.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, it's not that hard to make like a full collection of Wii U games.
Yeah, really.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
All right. Next one. Big blockbuster, guys. Here we go.
Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
Yay.
Yay. Another Assassin's Creed game.
Yes.
A stealth action game. It'll be very, very buggy. So...
Very buggy.
I just guarantee it right now. It's not going to be...
cycle for Assassin's Creed games. They need to stop doing this. It is not doing them any favors. I don't know anybody who's excited for this one.
Grip your receipts tightly, gentlemen.
Unity did when it came out, performance-wise, and lackluster gameplay.
And Unity
I
was
bet it'll
supposed to be
still
like
sell
the good
like a
one
million
too.
copies too. Well, you can go buy it at your own risk. PS4, Xbox One, PC, and it's coming out October 23rd.
This is my favorite part of the year because when we announce the game, it's like sweet, and then like I know that the next podcast we're gonna have all the news to talk about how shitty and buggy it was. Just episode 50 celebration.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed is a self-generating news cycle. That's for sure.
It really, really is. All right, let's burn through the rest of this.
All right, Guild Wars 2: Heart of Thorns, the expansion is coming out. It's an action MMORPG, if you've never heard of it. It's coming out on PC, and it's coming out October 23rd. We are going to be playing this one, me and Papa.
Cool.
Fortunately, Naughtius does not want to join us.
No, I'm going to be passing on Guild Wars 2 this time. I have neither the time, nor really the inclination.
You could play as a Revenant. There's raids now. Supposedly harder PvE content.
Yeah.
And
we talked all about this last time. It's an MMO.
Oh, come on. We talk about Final Fantasy all the time.
Seifer talks about Final Fantasy all the time because it's all he plays. Instead of playing Metal Gear.
I don't want to hear it, former guild leader.
That's right. I quit.
Ooh, man, this is a hostile podcast.
Let's focus my efforts doing stuff like this.
All right, another big Nintendo release is the new Legend of Zelda game, Triforce Heroes.
Sweet.
It is coming out for 3DS, and it's coming out October 23rd. If you haven't heard of Zelda, I don't know where you've been.
This game looks
for
dumb.
the past 27 years.
Dumb.
Oh, you haven't been a chicken living in the grass, that's for sure. That's a Zelda joke.
Hit him enough and get attacked by a swarm.
All right, moving on.
Minecraft Story Mode is coming to consoles. It's out on PC already, as Gray talked about.
Indeed.
And again, it's a Telltale game. It's coming out for PS3, PS4, Xbox One, and Xbox 360. and already out for PC, as I said, and no Wii again. Telltale hates the Wii.
Now they've forsaken the Wii U, it seems. Despite their games most likely being very easily portable to the Wii U.
I would assume they would at least want those games on the 3DS, but
you would think, but whatever. Whatevs.
All right, we got a new WWE game coming out, 2K16. It's a wrestling game.
For you wrestling fans out there.
Yep. PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, Xbox One. It's coming out October 27th.
The hype is real.
Yes.
Divinity Original Sin Enhanced Edition. This is a console version of Divinity that's going to come with full voice acting and a bunch of other enhancements. Is coming out for PS4 and Xbox One October 27th.
And if you already own the PC version of Divinity Original Sin in your Steam library, this game is going to pop up and you're going to be able to download that as a second game. So it's a completely separate bootable game. You'll have both of them in your library on Steam.
I'm really curious to see what the dirty console peasants think of this one. I know that typically, turn-based RPGs don't do very well on consoles. Usually control issues are... Yeah.
What?
Well, I mean, in the style of this game, the Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter Night, style.
I'm with him. I'm curious to see.
This is a bit of a difficult game for a console crowd.
It is a bit of a difficult game.
Wait a minute.
It is at first, yeah.
Wait a minute.
Uh-huh.
What? We're talking about the console crowd plays Bloodborne and Catherine and games like that.
A very small percentage of
games
people
are way more difficult
play Bloodborne, and I want you to remember this.
Yeah, this requires a lot of reading.
It does, yes.
Consoles don't read too good.
Although in the Enhanced Edition, I think one of the things they were focusing on was having an on-screen journal, if I remember correctly, so that things were more MMO-like, very easy to get through, digestible, before they didn't have that. Yeah, looking forward to it.
These are haters.
Whatever. Looking forward to it. Probably going to play through it again, hopefully before
burning up the consoles today.
And last but not least,
The Park. I think Nadius wants to talk about this one again.
Yeah, so this is a Funcom game, so don't run in terror immediately. It actually looks pretty good. It is a narrative adventure horror. You might want to call it a walking simulator. Visually, the game looks phenomenal. Little background on it: you play the female protagonist, a mother looking for her child in this kind of abandoned, closed down theme park. And I guess as you play through, it's going to scare the shit out of you. A really amazing story is going to unravel. It's very short, I guess. I think they said 2 to 3 hours long. They're more focusing on an actual psychological horror experience here than trying to make a long drawn out game.
Let's also be fair. This is a single player Funcom game.
It is a single player.
There's a difference.
I don't know. I didn't play the Secret World, and I guess some people have, and they say the carnival or theme park it's based off a zone in the Secret World. I think the only person who played that actively was Yume.
Yes, it does look a lot like in the trailer, a lot like the carnival in the Secret World.
Player model looks absolutely awful.
An MMO with a lot of potential that did not execute well. Kind of the way to summarize.
Yeah,
Secret
that's
World.
what all Funcom MMOs are like. But their single player games are interesting. I mean, The Longest Journey was a Funcom game, and Dreamfall.
All right.
And Dreamfall Chapters.
Mm-hmm. Well, I actually don't think Dreamfall Chapters was a Funcom game. I think they had some backing from Funcom, but that was kind of Ragnar Turnquist going off on his own and making that game.
Well, there you have it.
I don't know. You got Funcom on there listed with his studio, Red Thread Games, as developer and publisher, so they were involved for sure.
Yeah, they were acting as kind of a publisher, I believe.
theparkgame.com if you want to see more about this one.
I'm definitely going to be snagging that one, so I'll probably be talking about it next podcast.
Alrighty. So that's everything that's coming out in the next 2 weeks. Wow, there really are a shitload of games, and I know that next time we're here, which is going to be Sunday, November 1st, which is going to be our 50th episode, guys. I know that we're going to have a lot to talk about then, too. We're going to be talking about Fallout's going to be coming out on our list next time as well, since that's launched on the 10th of November. Seems crazy that we're already in November, doesn't it?
It does.
This year has just flown by, and we've been doing this podcast bi-weekly since the beginning of the year. It's like crazy, man. But we'll be focusing on what our 50th episode will be between now and then. In the meantime, if you want to follow us here at Impact Gaming Community, you can check us out on Twitter at Impact_GamingCM, YouTube, Impact Gaming Videos. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes would be great. Just stop by our website, man. Just stop by our website, log in, check us out, post on the website, boards, whatever. Send us questions at podcast@impact-gaming.us. If you want to ask Naughtius what color underwear he's wearing, or Papa why he's so, angry all the time, or you want to figure out what Seifer's favorite drink is, please send us your emails because we will read them here. We will make a new segment for emails. We will totally do that. It would be amazing. But in the meantime, between now and then, we want you guys to have a good time. We want you to stop by our website, impact-gaming.us. Check us out. Join one of our many, many gamer groups. We have a Minecraft server. We are playing... Let's see what else we're playing. We're playing Counter-Strike. We haven't done Rocket League on Fridays. There's 2, Final Fantasy 14. We just changed the Minecraft server into Vanilla Plus Minecraft server. That happened last night. So, there's a lot of stuff going on. And we're also going to be doing the Extra Life fundraiser this year. We have a team goal of $1,500. We've already raised $455. That takes place on November 7th. So we'll be talking about that a little bit more next time as well. Just stop by, man. There's a lot of stuff going on in IGC. But if we don't see you before then, I want you all to have a good one and game on. See ya next time.